welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast. My name is Jess, and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information that I want to cover with you. All right, let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Now, keep in mind that if you do have any technical issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on today, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you, so throughout today's EcoCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over a live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. Now, if we don't get to your question during the live webinar today, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us will be following up after we wrap. All right, next up, there's going to be lots of cool aha moments on the EcoCast today. And if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there on your audience console, and the hashtag for today's EcoCast will be automatically added to your post. All right, our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the handouts tab for some awesome resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection, solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. Now, if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes that we'll be giving away throughout today's EcoCast. I'm going to tell you a bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. First, you do need to be here live in attendance at the EcoCast in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all of you after we wrap. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, if you don't know what those full T's and C's are, that's fine. We've got the full thing for you. Just head on over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find them waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we actually have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. So in today's EcoCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our live sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all questions asked after we wrap the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and you would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about your big win, and we'll get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the EcoCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going, so let's connect on social media. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and on LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content and resources right after we wrap the EcoCast today, be sure to subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and, hey, grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or a coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you'll find a link to do that right in your handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected at the end of the webinar. And both you and your coworker or friend could win a prize, and we hold those drawings every month. So be sure to refer a friend because, hey, it could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for all the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your handouts tab, fill out a quick application, and the Actual Tech crew will then match you with some vendors that we think you should probably be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you get to choose to join in, like surveys, test runs, new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you'll learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker on your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you all about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find out everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, prevent, and recover. This site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. Go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books will work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and as I said, they are completely free. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in that handouts tab as well. All right, well, we have covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get going. All right, folks. Well, hi, hello. Let's jump into the good stuff because today we are here to talk about selecting the right SaaS backup tool. I am really looking forward to this conversation today because when it comes to software as a service applications and protecting customer data, it is all about the details. And there are a lot of options out there, right? Most major SaaS offerings include SLAs, retention policies, and backup copies, but how robust are these options? Are they actually meeting all of your needs? So today, with the help of our expert presenters from Rubrik and Haiku, we will explore the limitations that you need to be aware of and how these innovative solutions can now enhance and optimize data protection for SaaS at your organization. This is a really fun topic. And my friends, I have to tell you, this is actually our last EcoCast of 2023. I don't know if you were aware of that. If you're looking at the calendar, this is the very last EcoCast of 2023. So here we are bringing the year to a close, talking about SaaS and choosing the best backup tool for you and your organization as we head into the new year. So all around a very exciting day, which of course is the best part of our conversations here. It's just getting to be with all of you. So I'm happy to be here with you all today. We're going to kick things off in just a second. And I hope throughout the day today, you will stay engaged, get involved, and get interactive in that chat. I want to be hearing from you. It's my last chance to chat with all of you before we head off into the end of the year. So say hi and hello. I know Eric says, no, can't be the last of 2023, only of 2023. That is an important caveat. We will be back in 2024. I promise you all. Well, for those of you I haven't met, again, my name is Jess Steinbach. I'm a moderator here at Actual Tech Media. Now my friends and fellow moderators, Scott Becker and Keith Ward, are here with us on live chat today. We have one more cool piece of information for you, and that is the prizes. So today on the EcoCast, you could win one of three $300 Amazon gift cards. So if you need any of those last Christmas shopping things in the mail, hopefully you've got it all coming to you already. But if not, we'll help you out with some gift cards. So these are going to go to 3 lucky winners here live and present with us at the EcoCast. And again, if you have any questions about the terms and conditions for our prize giveaways, you can check our handouts tab and they are all listed for you there. All right. Well, that was it for the intros. We are going to get into the good stuff. And now I am so excited to bring out one of my favorite experts. I always learn something from our conversations with Melissa. So very happy to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Melissa Palmer, technology analyst, VMware certified design experts. Melissa, it is so great to have you here on the EcoCast. I can't wait to dive into our conversation. So I am going to hand things on over to you. Take it away, Melissa.
Thanks so much, Actual Tech Media team. Today we're going to cover a very important topic, selecting the right SaaS backup tool. Software as a service, or SaaS, has fundamentally changed the way organizations operate. So let me give you my favorite SaaS example of all time, and it has to do with Microsoft Exchange. I can tell you so many horror stories from being on infrastructure teams over the years, especially when it comes to virtualizing Exchange. Every organization would have a dedicated Exchange team that their whole job was care and feeding of the Exchange environment. Because it's email, right? It's mission critical. We need our email to talk to our customers, to talk amongst each other, right? To get work done. And it's just kind of like operationally expensive, and there's no great innovative way to do it. Like if you were like a real Exchange pro, and I was not an Exchange pro, I had enough exposure to it, you could find a job anywhere, right? You could go from environment to environment to environment. And yes, there were some nuances based on how people configured things, but for the most part, Exchange was Exchange was Exchange. And you needed it, but it's not like it was innovative and was letting you do really cool things, right? We need our email. The team has to run the email. End of story. It's table stakes. So why would anybody continue to do this if you could get email as a service? And we have seen that in recent years with Office 365 coming out. I think everybody pretty much bought it for email. Some organizations use Google services, but no one really wants to be kind of in that business of managing an email environment anymore. And I really feel like this was the beginning of the SaaS resolution. It's just so easy to get up and running with any kind of SaaS application. You don't need any infrastructure. It's just a credit card in most cases. And it really allows organizations to roll out new services quickly and efficiently. Another big thing is CRM, right? Customer relationship management. That's a huge thing that people outsource because, yes, I need this service, but what does it get me as an organization trying to manage this kind of stuff? It's where I have my lifeblood, right? But it doesn't really help me drive innovation within my business. And, these SaaS offerings are really kind of robust, especially at a glance. A lot of them will include extra copies of data, some kind of retention policy. But the fact of the matter is, the devil is in the details, right? It depends on what level of service you purchased with it, what's included in the service, what's part of the suite, what's an add-on, did you read all the fine print, what kind of SLA are they kind of guaranteeing to you? And here's where people sometimes start to go a little off track. At the end of the day, a SaaS application includes most of our critical data, right? Let's just use email and CRM. Those are two things that every organization absolutely needs their data out of to run, right? And we need to protect them beyond the basics. Let's go back to this Exchange example. If there was some kind of backup issue with Exchange back in the day, let me tell you, it was all hands on deck until that issue was fixed because no one wanted to take the risk that we couldn't get to our email when we needed a critical file or somebody needed to do something. And I have had email outages like at the end of a quarter or the end of a month, and it has been absolutely insane. Everybody trying to, do their work and get things done and start using their Gmails for corporate contracts and stuff that just shouldn't happen. And it really kind of brings back the fact that these services are super critical to us and we can't lose the data. Because SaaS applications are so easy to consume and get started with, it's really easy to overlook these basics, just like it's easy to overlook the basics in the cloud, right? We have to remember at the end of the day, a SaaS application is running in a cloud. And what's a cloud? It's someone else's data center, right? We get out of the business of compute, network, storage, power, cooling, facilities. In this case, we get out of even the application layer with SaaS, but we're still responsible for protecting our data. I hope at this point I've convinced you that we do need to be protecting our data in our SaaS applications, just like we would in any other critical area of our business. So the next step becomes, well, how do we actually protect it? Of course, we're going to need another product, right? We need a SaaS backup product now. This is an important consideration because we know there are other things we're backing up in our environment as well. Operational synergies can be huge here. So it's always a good idea when we're starting to kind of figure out what SaaS backup product are we going to use. Okay, what else can this piece of software do? Is it only going to back up our SaaS apps, or can we back up cloud with it? Can we back up on-prem with it? Do we have a tool today that will actually do that for us in our environment, right? Are we already using backup software that will actually back up SaaS applications? And if we're not, well, maybe this is a really good idea to also kind of look at how we're protecting our environment holistically, because we might bring in a vendor for SaaS and say, hey, this is really good. This is really easy to use. Maybe we should consider it for some of our other environments as well. So the first thing we need to do is start kind of evaluating the different SaaS backup products out there. Then we need to make sure that we're storing a copy of our SaaS data someplace we can get to if we need it. Remember, the cloud is someone else's data center, so we want to make sure that we have at least one copy that's not in the same cloud as our SaaS app, right? So if our SaaS app is in a major cloud provider, let's say it's in AWS, right? Our SaaS app, we're consuming it. We know they host it in AWS. We want to make sure that we have a backup in a different cloud, because in the event there is some sort of outage in AWS, we want to make sure that we can get to our critical data wherever it is. So we want to make sure that we're spreading out those backup copies across clouds. So if something happens to one, we can always get to our data and we don't need to worry. And I would say the other really big consideration is usability. Who's going to be using this environment? Are we going to give self-service to our users, which a lot of people like to do, especially for things like emails? Let me go back and get that deleted email or something like that. Or will the backup team be responsible for retrieval and restores, which could put a lot of additional pressure on the backup team? This is a really huge one because we know that users make mistakes like accidentally deleting a file, and sometimes they don't realize it until much later. The good news is today we're going to hear from some great technology companies that can really help us solve this problem. By the end of today, we're going to have a great handle on some of the problems we need to watch out for as we're kind of going down this path of backing up our SaaS data and how to solve them more importantly. So I want you to get ready for some fantastic presentations. Back to you, Actual Tech Media team.
All right. Well, Melissa, you are exactly right. We've got lots of great info to dig into, lots coming our way. But before we do that, we have a question for all of you. And what we're wondering is, what's your time frame? What's your timeline like? So are you thinking, okay, well, maybe we need to make these changes immediately. They have to take effect right away as we're coming in the new year. Or are you thinking about a little bit longer term? Maybe you're already thinking about 2025. You know, I'm barely ready to think about 2024. But hey, wherever your brain is at right now, there are no wrong answers. We're just kind of curious what you're thinking about in terms of timeline. I'm seeing the vast majority of you hitting that not sure button, and I get it because I think right now we're just in a phase of information collecting and maybe looking ahead and seeing what we might want to think about as we get into the new year. And certainly that is a great place to start our day. But if you have not answered this poll, this is your check to see if you're out there, if you're alive, if you're feeling pumped up and ready for our last EcoCast of 2023. It's the last time you'll get to answer this poll in this year. Isn't that a beautiful moment? So take a moment, savor it, really, really enjoy clicking on this very last time frame poll that we will ask you in 2023. Okay, my friends, well, let's go ahead and get started on our sessions today. If you missed that poll, don't worry, there will be more chances to answer poll questions. So you have not missed your last poll of 2023, I promise you. But we are going to kick things off today with our first expert presenters in the EcoCast, and we are definitely starting out on a great note. We have a dynamic duo here with us from Rubrik. We're going to be chatting with Jerry Reinbeck, VP Rubrik X Tech Go-to-Market, and we will also be chatting with Salvatore Bucaliero. I love that. Bucaliero, Senior SaaS and Security Sales Engineer, EMEA. Jerry and Salvatore, thank you so much for being here with us to get us started today on this EcoCast. Now, I know you've got some great stuff planned. We're going to get into a demo, lots to do. Jerry, I think you're going to kick us off, so I will hand things right on over to you. Take it away.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Reinbeck from Rubrik. Within Rubrik, I'm responsible for our SaaS and security products in EMEA, and I would like to talk to you today about one of the fastest growing applications in the world right now, Microsoft 365. So what we've seen, and especially because of the pandemic, is an extremely accelerated usage, and not just in sheer numbers, but most of all in criticality. I think M365 has extremely rapidly evolved from an email online utility to a tier 1 business application. Imagine a situation today, if you have already migrated to M365, imagine a situation today where all of your email, your collaboration, your Teams, your OneDrive, your SharePoint sites, everything is gone. What happens to your business when that moment comes? How do you interact with your customers? What is your failback scenario? I mean, could you even communicate with press? Things like that. So 365 has been an enormous, increasingly important application in our data center landscape, in our cloud landscape. And I want to talk to you about protecting that data that is in there. Because Microsoft will protect Microsoft will give you the services you are needed to run your 365 environment, but the data that is in there is your data. And that's not just my statement, that's actually the contract that you've also signed with Microsoft. You know, they will provide all the services needed to keep those services running, but in case something happens to your data, that is your responsibility, and that is why Microsoft strongly recommends you to back up the data that is in there on a regular basis. So, what is it that Rubrik has to offer for customers using 365? Of course, Microsoft already has a lot of tools inside of 365 that you can use for accidental deletions, for litigation situations, and of course the compliancy, the threat analysis, all of those things Microsoft can do for you. But what Rubrik can do on top of that is really give you a zero trust backup environment for that 365 data. We will make sure that we can protect and recover it, even if you're talking about tens of thousands of users. Of course, all of that is being done in a true Rubrik form. As you, if you're already a Rubrik user, you know that everything in our system is run by SLAs. So you tell us basically how many backups you want per day, how many copies you want to have stored, for how many years you want to store them, and the system will figure out how to do those backups. That is for data center solutions, but that's also for hybrid cloud solutions, and now also for 365 SaaS applications. So what is the real threat that we're facing? Of course, Microsoft will do everything in their power to keep you safe. Unfortunately, they have no control over what happens to your users and your passwords, and sometimes perimeters are breached. If that is the case, what we see more and more is that these attackers will try and get your global admin passwords as soon as possible. Because once they have that, and it can take weeks of digging through your log files, of social engineering, spear phishing, you name it, but they will get to a point where they have that administrator password. And once that is there, all transactional systems are locked. You will get the note saying, we now have your data locked, and you have decisions to make. Are you going to pay them, or are you going to try and come back from this scenario? So, of course, your data will be exfiltrated, you'll get a ransom note, and then basically Microsoft gives you some tooling to, you have retention policies, recycle bins, version control, legal holds, preservation lock. So you basically have those options within your environment, which is fine if you're talking about 10, 20, 30 mailboxes. The problem is, at enterprise scale, these tools were never built for disaster recovery. There's no way to get 10,000 mailboxes or terabytes of OneDrive data back through these policies or back through these tools. So you either use the native compliancy tools or you're doing the compliancy encryption, preservation tools, but none of them will give you the ability to do a mass recovery. So if that is what your strategy is based on, it will get you out of a lot of situations, but mass protection and recovery is not one of them. And that is a scenario if you're attacked by ransomware, although sometimes you also have rogue IT administrators or just major project blunders. These things happen, and if you have to recover 10,000 mailboxes and OneDrive folders, that's the moment when you realize that all of those tooling that you've been using for single file recovery or single mailbox recovery are not going to help you right now. So all of these tools by itself are fantastic. They have their own use. But in case of a cyber attack, what you see is actually, if they have the global admin account, they're actually going to use these against you, because retention is great, but an admin can overrule it and set it back. So your recycle bin no longer works. The legal hold is fantastic if you want to lock 1, 2, 3 mailboxes, but there's no way you can lock your entire environment and utilize that tool. Same with retention, the same with version control. Version control is fantastic if you delete a file and you want to get a previous version, if you modify a file and you want to get a previous version back. But if you delete the entire environment, then also version control is gone, right? This is why you need a third-party application like Rubrik to protect this environment, this business-critical application. So some core design principles. So Microsoft is an investor in Rubrik, and our combined efforts to build the best solution in the market to protect that 365 data has some key principles. So our approach really has been, this is a zero trust design, right? So the core principle is nobody is to be trusted, including our employees, your employees. So everything has been completely air-gapped, encrypted, and least access. So role-based access control, lowest permissions possible, et cetera, et cetera. Our employees cannot access that data, and that data is also not stored in your primary Microsoft environment. It's actually stored in ours. So even if they have full global access control, full global admin control in your environment, they will not be able to reach the backup data. Of course, this is an enterprise solution, so we want to make sure that we use all of the tools that Microsoft gives us, all of the APIs and the Kubernetes services that run below, to scale that up automatically and use the power of the cloud, the performance of the cloud, to really give you, minimal downtime, maximum performance. Of course, we've built this solution from the ground up, but also to be completely compatible and exactly the same as we are already protecting data centers today. So if you're using Rubrik for your VMware environment or your native cloud solutions or your SQL servers, the way you're protecting the environment based on SLAs, based on business policies, it works exactly the same. It's the same interface, the same workflow, the same full API automation possibilities that you have in our core product, you also have in our 365 product. So how does it work? You have on the bottom of the screen, this is your 365 environment. It's compromised, they have your passwords, and now they're trying to reach that data. The beauty is, of course, we're using multi-factor authentication. We're using OAuth authentication between the two systems. So basically, you give us a one-time password to get the information that we needed. After that, these user accounts are no longer used. Everything is encrypted, both at flight and at rest. But most of all, it's completely air-gapped. It has separated from your environment. There is no matching user IDs and passwords, and it's completely safe. Once that connection has been established, you assign the SLA. You tell us, this is how many times a day I want my mailboxes protected. This is how many times a day I want my SharePoint environment protected. This is how many days, weeks, months, or years you have to store this. Rubrik, go figure it out. Once that is done, we will scale up our backend. So the amount of machines, the amount of storage, the amount of Kubernetes services that we are using in the back is dynamically allocated based on the metrics of your environment. So we know how many users, how many terabytes, petabytes we need to protect or recover, and based on that, we'll scale the backend as needed. And of course, all in one simple interface. A SaaS application hosted by Rubrik with all of your data ready to be restored. Last but not least, Microsoft recognizes the importance of these kind of solutions, and we're extremely proud to say that Microsoft even took a significant stake in our company because they believe that this is the way forward. So our engineers are working together to bring you the best solution in the market possible today. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've tried to show you the why and the what of M365 protection. In the next 15 minutes, I'm actually going to show you the how. So stick around for a live demonstration, and see you there.
Thank you, Jerry. I will take it from here. Hi, everyone. My name is Salvatore Ucoliero. I'm based in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I'm the Senior Microsoft 365 Specialist Engineer for EMEA. I've been here since 2017, so almost 5 years now. It's really going fast. It has been really fun and interesting to be part of this journey of innovation here with Rubrik. In this little video, I will show you a short demo of how we protect a Microsoft 365 workload. We have a very good partnership with Microsoft, who recently decided to invest with Rubrik, and we are, of course, super excited and proud to be selected as a Microsoft 365 partner. But let's jump into the demo. Let me share my screen. So as you can see here on the screen, this is Rubrik Polaris. Rubrik Polaris is our central management and administration, reporting and auditing tool for all the workloads you want to protect. So this includes data center workloads, remote offices, cloud workloads, and SaaS. This is also the place you would be alerted and be investigating if you had a ransomware attack. This is also where you could investigate if you have any personal sensitive data in your data sets. This is where you can set up, test, and do orchestrated disaster recoveries between sites, and much more, including the new capabilities we'll be bringing to the marketplace. So one central management to rule them all. In this picture here, you can see we have an overview of tasks. We have a compliancy overview, protection overview, and for each of these numbers, you can click and drill in and get more information. We have a map, an interactive map where we can see where our data centers are located. So I'll be going into the inventory. This is the view of all the things we can protect here at Rubrik. As you can see, it's data center, it's cloud, it's all the workload types. This is Microsoft 365, and we get an overview here. We have one subscription, we have 100% compliancy rate, 690 protected objects. And let's go in and see this. This is the dashboard of Microsoft 365. It gives you a good amount of information in one quick go. So you can see how much storage we are consuming. We can see the compliancy for all the objects. And here we can drill into compliancy for a specific object type, such as teams. And we can see we have 4 teams and they are all compliant. We have a graph of daily errors and warnings, and we can see a success rates. And down here, we have an overview of the mailboxes, the OneDrives, the SharePoints, and the Teams. And we are getting told how many we are being protected, and we get an SLA compliance rate. This is just one Microsoft 365 subscription I have in this demo. If you want to add more subscriptions, you can just click Add Subscription, and this will guide you into a 7-step process where you are connecting to your Microsoft 365 subscription, authorizing access, setting it up, and then you are good to go. It's really fast and efficient. And here at Rubrik, we believe in simplicity and we believe in efficiency. So we are utilizing Microsoft Kubernetes to spin up compute resources as needed. And by doing this, we are very elegantly and automatically able to scale from very small workloads to very large workloads. Also, we have a Microsoft 365 hosted option where we are storing your Microsoft 365 data in an Azure hot blob store that ensures that you have no access to the actual backup data, and that ensures that a rogue admin or ransomware attack would not be able to destroy both your production data and your backup data. So separation of duties is super important. This interface obviously also supports single sign-on, multi-factor authentication. We have role-based access. Everything is encrypted and using certificates. So security is really in the center of it all as well here. Let's look into Exchange Mailbox and see what users we have here. You can see this is the Users tab for Exchange Mailbox. We could also select OneDrive. And we have here the SLA domains that we are using to protect these users. I could select all of the users in one go and click Manage Protection. And here I can select one of the SLAs that I have already, or I can create my own. So I'll do that, or at least the first few steps of it. So I'll be typing a name here that gives this SLA a name. And here I can select what type of workloads I want to be protecting with this SLA. So you can see we support multiple workload types in this GUI. Microsoft 365 is what I want. I'll click next. And now I need to decide how often I want to protect the workload and how long retention I want for these settings. So maybe I want to protect everything every 4 hours, and I will retain this frequency just for 1 day. So for the past 24 hours, I have 6 backups to choose from. I may want a regular daily backup, and I'll keep that for 1 month. I'll do a monthly backup, and by the way, I want that the first day of the month, and I want to keep this for 3 months. And then finally, I want a yearly backup, which is from December, and I want to keep this for, let's say, 5 years. Very simple and easy and intuitive way of defining exactly how I want to be protecting my workloads. I'll click next. And this is an overview of the selection choices I've done. I won't create this SLA now. I just wanted to show you how we do create these SLAs. So instead of assigning SLAs by the user, which can be somewhat cumbersome, depending on how many users you have, we also understand an Azure AD group setup. So here are some of the Azure AD groups we have imported into Polaris, and I can then assign SLAs depending on which group a person is part of. And you can see if I add group, it will connect to Azure AD, and here I can select which group I want to be administrating. So this could be SQL admins. Click add, and now I have SQL admins, and I can then assign an SLA to users belonging to that group. Really nice and easy. Going back to the users, I have a status of active users and relic users. So when users are leaving the company, we most likely still have to retain the data for the remainder of the retention period. And by selecting active or relic, we can know if we are working with active or relic users. Up here, I have a very fast search capability. I can find a user. You could see we have 2 Salvatores here at Rubric. And I'll just select myself. And this is the overview of the protection of my mailbox. I'm part of the SLA called Gold. And you can see it's highlighted. I could click in and see how that actually is set up. This is the calendar view, so we can see what backups we have for each day for the past couple of days. And I'll go into this today. I have 2 backups. I can do a recovery from each of those, or I could search here for an email from any of those 2 backups. Maybe let's search for Microsoft. Let's see if we find something. And there are all my emails that contains the subject Microsoft. From here, I can select those emails I want, select recover, and restore them back to myself or to another user. I'll just go ahead and recover those. And as you can see, this is now in motion. This is the same simple principle I use for OneDrive. Again, I have my SLA. I can see now how much data I'm consuming in OneDrive. I have the snapshots of the different dates. Let's say if I go back to December, what do I have from that? December 1st. There was a scheduled backup. I want to recover from that one. I can select the entire OneDrive, or I can click into the actual folder structure, go into documentation, select a set of documents, click next, and recover them back to me or to another user. Of course, this is depending on the rights I have. I also have teams, and for teams, they are in different channels or groups, if you will. I can click into those. Again, I have the calendar view. I can click the calendar. I can search here by file names. I can also add more fields to my search, from and to, and which channel it's part of. And then, of course, I can go into the folder structure and recover those OneDrive documents directly. Very easy. Here are the various channels. I actually created my own. Click into that, and I have a document there I could recover as well. It's very much the same for SharePoint sites. I have the sites here. I can click into the site. I can search for documents. I can select an entire site. So really easy and simple and intuitive. The last thing I wanted to show you is the events and reporting. Of course, all events such as backup successes and failures and indexing and whatnot is being logged here, and you can of course send this to an external syslog server, or you can send it to Seam or XOR and other types of applications. And we also have an audit log, so you can see that I started a restore from my own mailbox, and this audit log will also be showing if a user is doing a search on a subject type in other people's emails. It's of course very crucial to keep an audit log on what people are doing with this tool. Going back to the inventory, this is again, this is the rubric Polaris, where we can manage all your workloads. And I hope you enjoyed this little demo of how we protect a Microsoft 365 workload. So thank you for your time, and have a great day. Thank you.
Well, thank you. What a great presentation. Love that demo. I know that all of you out there were enjoying that as well. I saw a lot of positive feedback coming in. Robert, really enjoying the user-friendly interface. I totally agree. Astrid says the same thing. Awesome. Love the simple interface. Yeah, the usability of a solution is a huge part of it, right? It really does matter. And every time we get to dig into Rubrik's solution, I'm so impressed with the platform and just how nice and clean it looks, how easy it is to find the information you need, how simple it is to get into it and get started with it. And that does make a difference, right? That is going to reduce stress in your life and in your team's life. So it is worth considering that. And I appreciate seeing those comments from all of you. I also want to remind you all that we've got that Christmas wish list or holiday wish list up on the screen for you right now. What we're wondering is, what is the additional information you would like to get about the Rubrik solution? So what can we put in your stockings? Would you like some data sheets, technical white papers, case study? Are you interested in that pricing info? I did see a few questions come in for pricing info. And again, we've got the Rubrik crew here answering questions on live chat, but there are a lot of questions. So if they don't get back to you today, you will get some responses back over email. Another great way to make sure you get the info you want is just by clicking on that wish list up on your screen, and Rubrik will make sure that they get you those answers back. I also want to remind you to head over to the handouts tab. If you haven't already done that, make sure you click on the Rubrik link, get that handout on Rubrik Security Cloud. You can learn how Rubrik can increase your data resiliency, continuously monitor risks to your data, and recover applications quickly. This is a great follow-up to the conversation that we just had, so be sure that you head on over to that handouts tab, download that handout, and hold on to that for later, because you're going to want to take a look at that once we've wrapped up our day today. Again, folks, these are your last handouts, your last polls of the year. So make sure you're following along as we go through the EcoCast today. Well, speaking of last chances, we're going to give away a couple of prizes today. This one is not the last chance. This is just the first. So we will have three $300 Amazon gift cards, and they are going to go to folks who are here live and present with us at the EcoCast. Our very first winner of a $300 Amazon gift card is Jaynal Pervez of Texas. Jaynal Pervez of Texas, congratulations. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after we wrap up the webinar. Now, don't forget, there are still 2 more chances to win that Amazon gift card. Plus, we do have that best question gift card coming at you from each one of our sessions. So don't forget about that. That's a $50 Amazon gift card going to the best question asked in each of our sessions today. And we will be looking at all the questions asked after we wrap. So even if we don't get to you in a live Q&A or over live chat, you are still entered to win that best question gift card. So keep those questions rolling in, my friends. All right. Well, with that, and speaking of rolling, let's roll right on. How do you like that for a segue? I thought that was pretty clever myself. All right, well, we are definitely keeping the good times going here on the EcoCast because our next awesome presenter is a familiar face here with us. And such a fun expert, and that is, of course, the one and only Andy Fernandez, Director of Product Management at Haiku. Andy, thank you so much for being here with us today on the EcoCast, this very last EcoCast of 2023. We are having a great day so far. I'm very excited to hear more about what's up at Haiku. And yes, audience, I will be accepting haikus in the chat today. If anyone feels so inspired, get your best haikus in the chat for us and get those questions rolling in. All right, Andy, they are ready to rock. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's section with Haiku, talking about selecting the right SaaS backup. My name is Andy Fernandez. I'm the Director of Product Management at Haiku. And as we focus the conversation today, it's going to be a little bit different than traditional IT and DevOps conversation. It's always been focused on cloud infrastructure, it's focused on on-prem infrastructure, vSphere environments, but we're really going to focus on what's really changed and evolved in the last couple of years and why that matters to you, why that matters to backup and the need to protect not just the one application you're thinking about right now, but everything else in your data estate as well. If you have any questions, please use the chat. We'll make sure to answer it, and I will personally follow up with you if we don't have enough time for that. But I want to thank you all for your time, and let's get started. So let's go back a couple of years. Let's go back 10 years and really understand where it all started. 10 years ago, when we were looking at organizations, they were running everything on-prem. You had all of your applications, your infrastructure, everything was managed on-prem. So your applications, your networking, everything was in your castle, in your domain, in your control. IT had full control of every single application that was used across the entire organization, from sales to HR, you name it. But then what we started to see was, one, tier one critical applications were still hosted on-prem. That wasn't going away. But we started to see edge cases within the cloud. We started to see organizations adopt it for backup, being able to use it for cheaper and deeper storage. And then maybe some novel cases of modern applications as well. And then you saw the first few organizations actually moving from a server or a data center deployment of their departmental SaaS to an actual, or their departmental applications to an actual SaaS. But still, at this point, everything was managed by IT. Everything that was critical, that was tier one to the organization, was running on-prem. Let's go today. Well, there's still an on-prem footprint. We know that that's still a part of the majority of organizations that have been in existence for more than 10 years. But we've also started to see modernization in the cloud. Those organizations that lifted and shifted, or maybe they even failed over to the cloud, started to see the benefits, the scale, the decoupled services that they can unlock, and started to modernize. But when you modernize these applications, you're dealing with dozens of services that make up that application. And a lot of that is not managed by IT, it's managed by DevOps, it's managed by SREs, by cloud engineers. And that's just within engineering. But what about departmental applications that used to be hosted on-prem? Well, anyone with a credit card now can go and purchase it and can start running a mission critical application within the budget of their organization, completely outside of IT. So what we're dealing with here is a completely disparate environment. We're dealing with an estate that not only is still a challenge for IT to manage, but a lot of it sits outside of IT. but it's still critical information. It's still the same type of applications that used to be hosted on-prem. Now they live in separate walled gardens. But why does that actually matter? Isn't the whole point of SaaS that I can just pay a monthly fee, use the service, and never have to worry about patching again? In a way, yes, but you have to think about SaaS as a parking garage. When you're parking your car in your garage, you are paying the garage a service. I would like to park my car and make sure the lights are on and I can leave and exit the building. That's what they're there. That's what they're meant to do. But what happens if you leave your window open? What happens if somebody steals your laptop because you made a mistake, you left your door unlocked, or somebody scratches your door, maybe even somebody steals your car? The point is, the garage will never take responsibility for that. That is on you as the owner of the car to protect your belongings and the car itself. SaaS is the same thing. They own the service. They're responsible for the system, that you can use the system, that it's available for you to use it. But if you corrupt, if you delete, if somebody else corrupts or encrypts your data, it's on you to have to protect it. It's on you to have to recover. Now, this is something that we've been busting these myths now at Haiku for a very long time, because we have these conversations with customers and they understand that M365 is something that they need to back up. And then they start to realize that M365 is just one of the applications that you're running as a SaaS. The majority of other departmental applications are also running as a SaaS. And what that means is that they all follow the same shared responsibility model, which is we own the system, we're responsible for the system, but your data is on you. Whether that's Okta, whether that's Atlassian, whether that's Salesforce, every organization follows the same model. There's different visuals, different color fonts, but it's the same thing. It's you are responsible for your data if somebody deletes it, corrupts it, encrypts it, if you're attacked. The point here being is it's very important to understand your data state and to be able to go and actually start protecting these applications, because this is a massive area where organizations are extremely vulnerable. And why is it that they're vulnerable? Well, the same threats to your data that you had on-prem are still the same threats to your data that you had in the cloud. The only difference is you actually have less data protection options in SaaS than you do on-prem. The entire on-prem world has dozens of backup vendors. They're all great and they do very incredible things with VMware, with Nutanix, with file shares. But not that many people are helping you to protect your SaaS applications. And why should you protect them? Well, the first one is something that's going to plague organizations as long as humans use it. That's data loss, deletion, accidental deletions, or maybe not so accidental deletions, logical failures, corruptions, these type of things. When you look at the data, 49% of organizations who use these tools will experience some form of data loss. Then we get into more nefarious activity, and it's ransomware. If you were a hacker, if you were a cyber criminal syndicate, who would you go after? Would you go after the organizations with extremely protected on-prem deployments? Or would you go after the ones where maybe it's a little bit of a gray area as to who's responsible? Maybe it's HR managing an app or finance, and they're not really worried about cybersecurity. It's an easy target. So we're seeing SaaS become the number one target for ransomware attacks. And unfortunately, they have a 52% success rate. And then ultimately, too, if you're in a healthcare organization, financial services, legal, you name it, there are so many compliance requirements that you have that still apply to SaaS. Data governance, data residency, data retention, even keeping the 3-2-1 rule and having offsite copies. These are still requirements. These are still things that you have to think about when it comes to SaaS applications. But what I want to really double click on here is the fact that ransomware attacks will only continue to increase in severity. What I'm showing you here is the interface of WormGPT. We all know about OpenAI, we know about Bard, we know about Gemini, and all these amazing things that are happening. And the scale, the maturity, the intelligence, that's all at our fingertips to do good things, to build things. But those same technologies have been available to evil people who have the ability and the technical capacity to create nefarious versions of this. So with WormGPT, with EvilGPT, and other iterations that we're starting to see, organizations can produce extremely sophisticated attacks just prompting, just being able to prompt an attack. What does this mean? Well, it goes from having to spend months building the perfect attack, finding your victims, crafting emails, crafting the actual malware scripts that you need as well, to being able to simply prompt these attacks. This is only going to increase the volume, but it's also going to increase the quality of these attacks. So the most important thing you can do in your organization is secure your data estate. And as we've seen, it's not just about prevention, because we know that attacks will happen, they will get through. It's also about making sure that you have backup and recovery, business continuity in place as part of your cybersecurity strategy as well. So, what does that actually mean? Well, one, you should still invest in an SSO provider. You should still have MFA at minimum enabled in your organization and follow all of the best practices within the NIST cybersecurity framework. But you also need to make sure that you have your data recoverable in case of an attack, in case of a deletion, or even from a compliance perspective, right? It's not just about ransomware. The majority of data loss events are actually from people simply making mistakes. So what are the recommendations that we provide on how to choose a SaaS backup platform? Here's the checklist that we provide. The first thing you need to understand is you're probably thinking about one SaaS right now. Oh, I need to protect my Salesforce. I need to protect my M365 or ServiceNow or something like that. But you have so much more SaaS applications, so many more SaaS applications than you think, and a much more mature cloud footprint than maybe your organization understands. So first of all, you need to understand what you need to protect just beyond a single platform. Then you have to make sure that what you're doing and when you're selecting a service, it's not about simply exporting data. Anybody can do that. That's easy. It's, can you recover? Do you have granular recovery as an option? That is table stakes. That is at a minimum something you need in your organization. And another overlooked part, but very important, is you need to make sure that the copies are in your possession, that it's your storage, that if something bad does happen, that you can recover yourself from your storage. This has residency implications, governance implications, but you should always, always, always keep your backups in your control as well. But you also want to make sure that you're not simply selecting a point solution out there for one specific SaaS. Oh, I would like to protect my Jira. Let me use this specific Jira tool. Oh, for Okta, let's use this Okta tool. For M365, let's use this M365 tool. No, because you will end up with dozens of backup tools. And that alone already is a massive threat to your organization. You want consolidation, you want unification, you want to protect everything using a platform without sacrificing recovery options as well. And you cannot forget about your cloud services. For example, what if somebody deletes a role in IAM or your states in Terraform or a key rotation in a key management service in AWS or in Azure? What happens then? You have to make sure that you protect those services as well, and that multiple people in your organization have the access control available to go not only back up and recover data themselves. And most important is once you've identified your footprint, and you started protecting these applications, you need an easy way to understand where they are, how they're being protected, and what is their protection status. These are the critical areas that you have to take a look at when you're selecting a SaaS platform. And if you email us or you let us know in the chat, we'll send you this checklist ourselves. We have a full option that goes even deeper into the world of SSO providers and how to protect those configurations as well. Now, what I want to spend the next few minutes on is actually just showing you how Haiku is able to do this. But a little bit about us. And a lot of folks say this, but we really deliver this. And we're the first and only data protection platform that's actually built to scale to protect the world's thousands of applications. So it's not only about protecting your VMware, your Nutanix, your on-prem infrastructure, but your cloud infrastructure, your cloud services, and dozens of SaaS applications as well. Maybe in another day, we can even dive into how we are able to accomplish this because it's a pretty fascinating technology. But our point is, it's data is everywhere. It should be protected everywhere, and that's what Haiku is able to do. We have industry-leading customer support with an NPS of over 90, and this number is actually already inaccurate. I have nearly 4,000 customers globally, organizations trusting Haiku with their crown jewels. But with that being said, let me show you how immediately with Haiku you can expose the total SaaS applications in your state and actually go and start isolating them and protecting them and even unlocking granular restore, whether it's a cloud service or a SaaS application. Let me show you. Now, as we mentioned in the checklist, it's very important for you to understand what you're currently using in your organization. You cannot protect what you don't know is going on in the organization. So the first thing that I'm going to show you here is within my Haiku account, show you how you're able to discover all of these services. How with Haiku, you can leverage your SSO provider, whether it's Okta or Azure AD, to start discovering those services. What does that actually do? Well, you add your API token, and Haiku will crawl through your directory and start associating all of the SaaS applications, the cloud services that we find, and show you from the company level all the way to departments, and then expose specific applications that don't have backup and recovery. What do we mean by that? Well, you can hover over a specific application and then identify the fact that it doesn't have a self-service recovery. Hey, if somebody deletes your videos in Zoom, did you know that you can't get them back? Did you know that you don't have any way to schedule backup policies of this? And there's no automated way to actually store this somewhere in a compliant setting. Especially think about a healthcare or financial services organization. So the whole point here with our graph, and this is a free service for everybody, by the way, attending, this is something you can simply create an account and use yourself, is showing you the drastic estate. And I promise you, everyone on this call, as long as you're not in the federal government, you have more SaaS applications than you think. There's countless of times that we sit down with CISOs and we ask them, Mr. and Mrs. CISO, how many applications do you think you're using? They tell us 3 or 4. By the end of the conversation, after doing some digging, we always find at least 10 times more of those applications and cloud services. So the point here is you need to be able to discover what your estate is so that you can effectively protect it. But then, okay, you decide that you actually want to start protecting. Well, with Haiku, due to our development platform, due to the way that we scale, we have 50 integrations. 50 integrations, all types of services from cloud infrastructure to SaaS, things like AWS Cloud Formations, IAM, Asana, Jira, Okta, ClickUp. It doesn't matter with Haiku, we're able to continuously grow the amount of integrations that we have. Every month, we're adding new things. Just in the next month, we're going to be adding GitHub, DocuSign, Monday.com. Every single month, more and more critical applications are added to our marketplace. What do you actually do from this? Well, you simply select what you want to protect. You add an API token or the source or your account ID, and then we'll automatically discover the instances that belong to that. Now, why does this matter? Well, it means you can assign a backup policy in essentially one click. And we have these prepackaged policies that we observe our customers using, whether it's backing data up every day or every 4 hours. It really depends on the type of application, the criticality. But if you want something a little bit more custom to your organization, within seconds, you can also just create a backup policy. And you could say, hey, for Okta, or for Jira, or Asana, or Salesforce, I want to take a backup every hour, or I want to do it every day. It doesn't matter. You get to decide your backup frequency, and then you get to decide your retention as well. Now, backup is easy. Exporting data, snapshots, these are easy things. The hard part is actually going back and restoring that information. So let's go to Okta, and let's say that somebody has deleted specific roles or admin roles or even breached Okta. How do you handle this with Haiku? Well, you can go specific to specific entities and restore that yourself, whether it's UI schema, policies, brands, or even that specific admin role that you were thinking about. You're able to restore data to a safe point in time. And that applies to all of our integrations, regardless of the data structure. It could be files, it could be objects, it could be functions, it could be configurations. With Haiku, you're able to restore the needle instead of having to find the needle through the entire haystack. You have the ability to restore things extremely easy, cataloged, and searchable. Now, where does all the data go? Where do these backups go? That's a very important component too. Well, we don't store your backups. When you think SaaS backup, you always assume somebody's storing the backups for you. But our critical mission here is to give you a copy of your data outside of the SaaS, outside of the cloud. The 3-2-1 rule is still a critical requirement in organizations. And with Haiku, you simply add the target and you define, well, I want to use Amazon S3 or Google Cloud or an S3 compatible storage like a Wasabi. You simply add that, you connect your account ID, And all of a sudden, you can point all of your backups to that storage. And it's off-site backup. And guess what? You can even make that completely immutable. So if you are extremely concerned about a ransomware attack, you now have immutable copies of your SaaS data as well. Now, the last thing that I'll mention, and there's so much that we can show you the value here, but what I'll mention is that there are a lot of SaaS applications. There's a lot of cloud services. Keeping track of that can be a challenge. And that's why with our graph, not only are we showing you visually the exposure that you have, the total amount of SaaS, the ones that are unprotected, but we can also start helping you identify those that from a management perspective. So you can go in and say, look, as a company, here's our protection level. Here's our compliance level. As a department, here is our, let's go to DevOps, for example. Here's how many application or policies are in place. Are we compliant? And even look at the specific SaaS applications. So you're able to truly manage your data estate in one place, knowing if you can recover data, knowing if it's protected, knowing if it's backed up somewhere in your control. So with that, one thing that I want to mention is that you're able to use this for free. You can create a Haiku account and you're able to simply enable our graph for free if you'd like to do so. Now, as we went through the demo, that's just a small sample of what Haiku is able to do to help you recover your data, to recover to a point in time that is safe, that is effective, so that you can minimize the risk of data loss from misconfiguration, deletion, or a cyber event. These are critical areas to think about. And what's important too is that you're not choosing a solution that is just meant for one application. You're choosing a platform that doesn't sacrifice granularity, that doesn't sacrifice native coverage, native integration, but also gives you the broadest set of applications to be covered. And so with Haiku, we've already celebrated our 50th integration. But every month we continue to add more and more and more, depending on your needs, depending on what your organization needs to protect. And you can check this out when you create an account today. So if you want to get started, and we'll continue answering questions in the chat, you can register for free. The link is in the chat as well, but you can register for free. And by the way, ask for a copy of the SaaS Resilience Checklist. In this checklist, not only do we cover what we saw today around SaaS backup, but we go into much more depth around your SSO provider configurations, the settings, how are you protecting that type of data as well. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time. I want to make sure I address any questions. And I want to thank you, and I hope you have a great day. Cheers.
Well, cheers back to you, Andy, and thanks for that awesome presentation, for being here to close out our very last EcoCast of 2023. That was a wonderful grand finale to both today's EcoCast and our season, and lots of great insight. We have a question up for all of you here. This is, again, that wish list. What would be helpful in terms of following up? Andy gave us a lot of information, and he is going to stick around and answer as many questions as he can on live chat. Unfortunately, since we're wrapping up pretty quickly here, we won't be able to get back to all the questions on live chat. So again, a reminder that you will get those follow-ups in email. Keep those questions coming in. And you are also entered to win that best question gift card just by asking those questions. So be sure you get those in there. And you are going to click on this wish list right now, because that's going to make your life easy, right? This is all about the easy time. Everything is so stressful. There's so much going on, all the checklists before you head out for the holidays, whatever breaks you're taking. So as you approach that time, you've got this big, tall, heavy to-do list, and there's so much on it. And this is one thing you can take off that list. Click on the wish list right now on your screen, and then Haiku is going to send you exactly what you need, only what you need, so you can jog your memory when you are coming back, whenever you're thinking about making some of these decisions as we go into the new year. Michael says, Happy New 2024. Michael, same on back to you. Pretty excited about this next year. Although I have to say 2023 was pretty great too, but lots more good times coming our way, I hope. All right, I do also want to remind you all to head over to the handouts tab. Make sure you get that Haiku data sheet, Haiku R graph, data estate discovery, and visualization. And they start with that idea that visibility is the first step towards effective protection, right? How many times do we hear this in a conversation about any kind of security? You can't protect what you can't see. So you have to know what you're protecting. You have to be able to see it, and then you can build those defenses. So make sure you've got that handout. Make sure you've got that ready. and make sure you've clicked on that wish list. While you're doing all of that, I will go ahead and give away our last 2 $300 Amazon gift cards to 2 awesome humans who are here live and present with us at the EcoCast, and then I will read the entire winners list out. All right, so our last 2 winners of the $300 Amazon gift card are Abhijit Reddy of Massachusetts, and Jesse Pock of California. So our full winners list today: Janelle Pervez of Texas, Abhijit Reddy of Massachusetts, and Jesse Pock of California. Congratulations to all our final winners here with us today. This is the last EcoCast of the year, but this is not our last webinar of the year. We do have some webinars tomorrow, so there are some awesome more sessions lined up for you. Please do make sure you're checking that events calendar and getting signed up for those. And we've got some cool stuff coming already for 2024. So if you're already thinking ahead to January, make sure you're signing up for some of those webinars coming at you in the new year. All right, well, that is it for today's EcoCast. Now, I do want to remind you, if you are here on the EcoCast today and you're thinking, hey, this has been a great time, I would like to come and chat with Jess or Keith or Scott on a future EcoCast, a megacast, a webinar, well, we would absolutely love that. So reach out or email us at connect@actualtechmedia.com. We'll get that conversation rolling, and we will see you in the new year. We'll get that headed out for 2024, which is pretty exciting. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank our wonderful speakers here with us today from Rubrik and from Haiku for making this EcoCast possible. But most of all, and I genuinely mean this, my biggest thank you has to go to all of you for attending, for asking some great questions. I had a lot of fun with all of you today. And you know what? I always do. I always have fun with our community, with our crew. I have to say, I am very sorry to be taking a few weeks where I don't get to chat with any of you, because that is absolutely the best part of my day. Hearing your questions, hearing how things are going for all of you, saying hi and hello to folks out there in our community. I feel like I know each and every one of you, and I feel so lucky that I get to spend time talking to you, talking about the problems that you have in your organization, the things that are going well in your organization, what you're excited about when we think about these innovations, and what you're looking forward to coming and you know, maybe what the next innovation might be. I feel like we get to have these really cool, brain tingly, lighty, uppy conversations all the time. And how rare is that? I wish it was more common in our lives, but these are great opportunities to come together and share those connection moments and collaborative learning. And I'm so grateful to each and every one of you for being a part of our community, for inviting me to be a part of your conversations, and for hanging out with Actual Tech Media. We're so happy to be in your lives. So I hope that you will come and see all of us again when we get started up in January. So our very first webinar of the year, Wednesday, January 10th. That's at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. That's going to be with Clumio. And we're going to be chatting about understanding your cloud native data protection and disaster recovery options. So that's the first EcoCast coming back. There are lots of webinars and lots of EcoCasts, lots of megacasts scheduled already in January. So keep watching that calendar. We're adding new ones all the time. But again, on Wednesday, January 10th at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, you can come chat about understanding your cloud native data protection and disaster recovery options. Len, I see you. Happy 2024 to you as well. I wish you all the best, and to all of you, thank you again so much for being here. I hope that I get to chat with all of you again soon in the new year. I will miss you all over the holidays, but I wish you all the best, and I hope that you have an absolutely beautiful end to 2023 and a start to 2024. Thanks, my friends.